Hey everyone, it's been a while. I think it's been nearly 3 to 4 years since I've done these types of videos, and I thought that after these many years, it's time to give it a whirl again. And it's been a great opportunity to kind of re-explore and vitalize my drawing capabilities and creativity and stuff like that. I really enjoy. This is usually around October. They always have the Inktober, and great opportunity to just kind of take these subtle prompts and expound on your creativity, and it really helps get the creative juices going. I'm glad I decided to do it this year. Once again, I didn't really follow the prompts. What I did instead was about 11 years ago, I did kind of this. There was a phrase coined by one of my college professors. His name was Scott Franson, and he did these little post-it note doodles, and he would call them doodle-a-days. And so, about 11 years ago, I kind of gave that a try and really enjoyed it. And so I created my goal was to kind of do what Stan Lee did, was name these heroes kind of with the same, Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson, all of these first and last names always had the same first letter. And so I made an attempt to do that exact same thing. And so I created here 11 years ago about 100 different heroes, and each one of these heroes had kind of their own little subplots and stories, and a lot of them interacted with each other in this own little created universe I had. So now, after 11 years, I figured I'd redraw them and take them from little 2 to 3 minute doodles into you know more of an illustration. I won't say I spent 2 to 3 minutes on these newer doodles. These newer doodles probably took, about an hour and a half to do. So a little more time and obviously a little more execution. And over the last 11 years, I've kind of developed the characters out a little bit more, and their costumes have changed, and appearances and powers and abilities and stories and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be fun to share this with you, and hopefully you get a kick out of it as much as I did. So the first one that I actually did, now this would have been January of 2015-ish or 2014. I can't really remember. I think it would have been 2015. Each day, as I sat at my desk at my day job, I was just like, what, to get the creative juices flowing, I'm going to adopt Scott Franson's doodle a day. And so I had a stack of neon green post-it notes, just the normal size, and I'd do these quick little 2 to 3 minute doodles, and then I'd name the character. So the first one that I did, his name was Cosmic Cadet, and so this was the original doodle that I did for him. And again, I kind of had a kick with Jack Kirby art, so I kind of tried to do him, very Jack Kirby-ish. And so once again, nothing too extraordinary, 2 to 3 minute little doodles, and then it was time to get to work. So with that in mind, I have now, after 10, I guess almost 11 years here in a couple months, decided to redo him. So so here he is. We'll just go ahead and watch the process of me drawing. So again, like I said, I've kind of expounded on their powers and abilities and backstories a little bit. And so this particular character, he likes to, he's a space defender, I guess would be the best way, a galactic guardian, as it were, and has to find a way to traverse the spaceways, as it were. And so he has the ability to form these kind of quote unquote meteorites that he can kind of quote unquote surf on. I'm borrowing some inspiration from the Marvel character, the Silver Surfer, which I really enjoyed as a kid. But instead of a cool little surfboard, he kind of moves around on these pieces of meteorite that he can form and control as he traverses the space waves. So yeah, I did this illustration with that in mind, as him kind of flying on one of these little asteroid meteorite things. And so yeah, But once again, composition-wise, I wanted to be sure that always from the very get-go, I always kind of wanted to do him kind of a bluish aqua color, and so obviously to help add some aesthetic, better focal points and compositional structure, making sure that he was blue, and that usually the meteorites that he ride would be kind of a desaturated orange, once again utilizing the complementary color design principle to help really kind of accentuate not only the character itself, but also kind of the meteorite that he's on. So, but as you can see here, I'm kind of, I tried a bunch of different styles, but never really fell in love with them. And so I just kind of went back to the original style that I did, I guess, 3 to 4 years ago. I think those videos are still available on my YouTube channel if you wanted to go back and watch those as well. But just kind of I call it the wood carving technique. It looks kind of like a wood carving, but a lot of, I guess they would call it hatching, ink hatching, but yeah. And then with his character, to kind of help accentuate the cosmic nature of his powers, I kind of did like these weird little rune things, and that like deep in the crevices of his muscles and skin tissue and stuff, he would glow this energy. So, but in essence, here's the photo, the finished illustration here. And so, but yeah, so this is the redone 2025 Cosmic Cadet. So we'll take a quick peek at his powers and abilities. So obviously Cosmic Cadet, down in the bottom left-hand corner is some specific information about his character. And so his real name is Captain Carl Adams of the Air Force. He's about 6'3" and about 215 pounds. So just an average, military guy. So he is an astronaut. So Captain Carl Adams was a 10-year veteran astronaut on his final spacewalk. The following week, he was scheduled to return to Earth for his long-awaited retirement, but fate had other plans. In a freak cosmic event, the sun emitted a strange mixture of gamma, cosmic, and ultraviolet rays in an unusually focused beam that struck Carl with tremendous force. The impact hurled Captain Adams into deep space at near light speed, triggering a miraculous transformation. The energy from the beam altered his body on a molecular level, granting him cosmic-level powers that enhanced his speed, durability, energy, and strength. After drifting through space for 3 years, his body still evolving, was discovered by a group known as the Galactic Guardians. They took him in, trained him, and eventually assigned him to the Terra Quadrant, where he now serves as its protector against potential cosmic threats. So that's just kind of a basic background of the Cosmic Cadet. His powers and, I guess, abilities. Over the years following Captain Adams' transformation, he discovered that his encounter with the enigmatic cosmic beam had imbued him with extraordinary powers. 6 years after his presumed death, Adams returned to Earth to test the limits of his abilities. At a remote sub-testing area near Groom Lake, he found that with a single force bolt from his hand, he could obliterate an entire mountain range. He could travel at 0.999999% the speed of light, and even further by manipulating space itself, traversing vast distances through self-generated wormholes. Nothing at the test site could accurately measure his durability or strength. During those experiments, though, he also discovered a new ability, the power to manipulate non-organic matter such as rock, dirt, and soil. Then another thing is just kind of his rough power stats. So he is relatively strong, durable, and he can move exceptionally fast. Obviously, without utilizing his ability to generate wormholes, he can travel near practically the speed of light. He has the relevant intelligence of a Air Force astronaut captain, and then obviously his power projection, the ability that he has to emit power beams from his eyes, hands, is extremely the highest it can go. I mean, obviously the one thing that he did test was obliterate an entire mountain range with a single force bolt. And then obviously, due to his new molecular composition, his self-sustaining stamina means that he can, you know, keep doing things for an extended, vast amount of time. So, you know, whether it's fighting or emitting power beams or, you know, flying at incredible speeds, you know, he's able to maintain that for quite some time. So, but yeah, that is Cosmic Cadet. And yeah, stay tuned for the next batch of heroes. So yeah, we've got a little over 100 of them to do. So the next couple, over the next 100 days, each day I hopefully will be able to present a new hero each day. So check in tomorrow.